And welcome to, oh, hello, okay. Click on got it. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the March affiliate meeting for the NAMI Mississippi Central Mississippi affiliate. Tonight we have a great program. It's called Say It Out Loud, and our presenter is Caleb McCullum. My name is Auburn Williams, and also joining us and really helping us run this thing is Latasha Willis, our Vice President of NAMI Central Mississippi. So we've got 12 participants with us tonight, joining us online. But let me tell you a little bit about Caleb before I turn it over to Caleb. Caleb joined NAMI Mississippi as a NAMI Mississippi Outreach Coordinator in 2021. He's got a deep passion for psychology and helping others in his life, and he's gained diverse experience in different areas of personal health and community services. At NAMI Mississippi, his job position works closely on micro and macro levels, helping us better serve individuals living with a mental illness and their families and other groups in the community impacted by mental illnesses. He participates as NAMI Mississippi's representative to various community groups and task forces that impact the identified special populations. Caleb is also responsible for providing support and education to individuals outside the organization about various NAMI Mississippi programs by helping them find the appropriate program for their needs, and also assist program leaders with the administration functions of those programs to enhance education and outreach efforts in the appointed region. Caleb attended the University of Alabama and graduated with Bachelor's of Psychology from the University of Mississippi. He is currently completing his master's degree in clinical mental health counseling from Liberty University. Caleb McCullum is very excited to be part of such an amazing organization, and he looks forward to making positive change in the community and nationwide. And we want you to welcome to present Say It Out Loud, Caleb McCullum. Thank you, Caleb, for doing this for us tonight. And we really look forward to your presentation. And there you are.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I'm sorry for the bad lighting in here.
No, you're good.
I just want to say hello to everyone, and we're going to get started. All right. So, who are we? NAMI is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization dedicated to building a better life for millions of Americans affected by mental illness. NAMI advocates for access to services, treatment, supports, and research, and it is a steadfast organization that is committed to raising awareness and building a community of hope for all of those in need. I want you to take a look at this screen right here, and you see the NAMI text line, and you also see the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Please take time to jot that down and put that in your phone, because it's very, very important when you're dealing with mental illness to know where to go to on the spot. And if a friend or loved one might need services, this is a great tool to have. So please take time to write this number down. NAMI, you can text that to 741741. And the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255. I'll give you just one more second to write all this down if you need to. All right. So what is Say It Out Loud? It is a commitment made by NAMI to initiate conversation about mental health that provides some of the tools needed to lead conversations around mental health in community groups. So take a look at your screen here, and you see a lot of celebrities. In the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and tell me, what do you think all of these celebrities have in common?
They're all suffering from some form of mental illness.
That is correct.
Exactly.
Every last one of these celebrities, they all suffer with a mental health condition, and they battle to maintain a healthy balance. Again, I just want to take this time right now to thank everyone for being here today. We're looking forward to talking with you about mental health and why it's important. However, before we start our conversation, we're going to be showing you a short film showing the 10 common warning signs of mental health conditions and why speaking up about experiencing these things is important. The warning signs show visually the reality of what many youth with mental health conditions experience. You will then, from there, we're going to have a very good conversation about what we saw and some more things that might be helpful for young adults. So first, some ground rules for the discussion. Number one is everyone gets a chance to talk. This is one of the key rules that I like to say. Everyone's voice is important and we need to give everyone time to talk if they need to. Number two, do not talk over each other. Only one person should be talking at a time. If you are uncomfortable speaking, please use the chat box and type your message publicly or privately to the chat moderator. Personal attacks, making fun of comments shared by others, or negative comments are not allowed. We may discuss potentially triggering topics, so if you need to remove yourself from the situation, we do understand. Please just turn your camera off and distance yourself. Let us know if you need time to yourself, and if you need to discuss after the presentation, please let me know. And lastly, this is a safe place to share information, but there are certain things that should not and will not be kept secret, including information about serious self-harm. If this comes up, we will have a private conversation and it will require us to involve another safe adult to protect you. So here is the video. Let's see. Can you all see the video right now?
It says discussion.
There we go. Can y'all hear that?
Mental health conditions are more common than you may think.
Yes.
1 in 5 youth or young adults lives with a mental health condition. Do you know the warning signs? Like feeling sad or withdrawn for more than 2 weeks. Severe mood swings that cause problems in relationships. Intense worries or fears that get in the way of daily activities. Sudden overwhelming fear for no reason. Or seriously trying to harm or kill oneself, or making plans to do so. Not eating, throwing up, or using laxatives to lose weight. Significant weight loss or weight gain. Severe out-of-control risk-taking behavior that can cause harm to self or others. Repeated use of drugs or alcohol. Drastic changes in behavior, personality, or sleeping habits. Or extreme difficulty concentrating or staying still. If you see these signs in yourself or a friend, tell a trusted adult. The first step to getting help is to say it out loud.
Like say it's like a roller coaster that I didn't buy a ticket for.
It's always something that's there, but doesn't really consume or control my life.
I've gotten teased, I've gotten judged.
For me, it's really been about living in spite of having a mental health condition as opposed to living with having a mental health condition, because it's never been something that I really define myself by.
My diagnosis doesn't define me. Like, you know, I have a bunch of diagnoses, but that doesn't mean that I am my diagnosis. I kind of had to learn that.
I started noticing a few things that were a little off, and then I'm really close with my older sister, my half-sister, and she actually was the one who kind of mentioned some things to me, and She was the one who kind of advocated for me when I didn't know how to advocate for myself.
I mean, now I'd say that I was having kind of adrenaline rushes, that I was getting cold sweats, that I was going into panic attacks.
So it's really hard to just tell myself, like, you can't shut down, because if you shut down, it's just gonna get worse.
I tried a few different practitioners, different therapists, counselors, psychiatrists, and I really worked to find what worked for me.
And it's just, again, not letting mental illness or people who kind of brought you down win.
I mean, we see it all around us all the time, and I think kids and adolescents are our most vulnerable populations and most innocent. And I remember what it was like, and I don't wish it on my worst enemy.
Eventually, there's going to be a tomorrow that isn't like today.
Well, hope means to me, the only thing it means to me is hold on, pain ends.
Sometime in life, everyone has a great battle to fight. And whatever it be, the best that you can hope for is that you have people that will listen to you and support you. And that you will have the strength to believe in yourself and to fight for yourself. Because if you don't fight for yourself, you can't expect anyone else to.
One small crack doesn't mean that you're broken. It means you're put to the test and you didn't break.
It's a lot more prevalent than you think, and it's probably right next to you if you're the person right next to you, you know.
I feel like people recognize it, but they don't recognize it in like a good way. They kind of recognize it like, I don't understand, so I don't understand it, so it must be something bad.
But if you make it about someone's neighbor or someone's classmate, someone's best friend, and they tell their story, then it's really hard to keep it out of your bubble, to pretend that it's not there. So we really need to, I think, personalize it and just to have as many people that are comfortable talking talk, because the more it's kind of put at the front of attention and the more people know about it and have open dialogue, the more change happens.
You know, and I think we just need to have an honest, open conversation and not be afraid to correct people if it's wrong, if it's incorrect, if it's invalid, inaccurate.
I feel like if you sit down and have a heart-to-heart and not just, you know, mental illnesses affects like 1 in every how many people, like if you actually share your own experiences, not just facts, then I feel like people are being more comfortable talking.
Through telling stories and sharing our experiences, we can relate to each other more than maybe a fact sheet or something more clinical.
You know, and just I think we need to take things more seriously. And if you know, one of your friends says something that's not like them, or that even kind of just puts a weird feeling in your mouth, say something. I mean, if you care about them, you know.
All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video. So now we're going to go towards our discussion part of today's presentation. So number one, what are your general reactions to what you just saw? Feel free to comment.
This is Dr. McGee. I'm gonna go ahead since I got to get off in a few minutes. Just for me, it just has a reality to it. You know how sometimes when you have things and you hear it, but to see it, it pulls it in perspective how important it is, even for the younger generation, for that discussion, for that awareness. So that's just the reaction I had when I first looked at it.
Thank you for sharing. I do
that's a
definitely
good
agree
take.
with you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I also like the fact that, you know, you're dealing with real people and you're not, you know, you're not dealing with actors, and you're dealing with people who've lived the experience.
I definitely agree. You know, this is real life. This is the things that people face on a daily basis, and it's very hard to live with sometimes. Does anyone else want to comment?
I'll add that you can tell that these are people from all walks of life. There is no certain type of person dealing with this.
That is correct. It doesn't discriminate, and anyone can get it, or not can get it, but anyone can, experience a mental illness at any point in life. It's one thing that we talk about in NAMI is that it's not hereditary, a mental illness, but it is heritable. And you can be perfectly fine 1 minute and develop mental health problems. Anyone else would like to comment?
Well, this is Miss Ashley, Jackson State intern. My thoughts were, well, when they were saying the different signs and or symptoms, that made me, sit back and I started questioning the inner me. I was wondering, like some of those signs are that, symptoms, do they connect with me, my inner me? So yes, and some are no. But yeah, I'm glad that I'm here to see that, because I always question that about myself. And so I'm gonna say that out loud, Yeah. So that's what I think about it. It just helped me to be more, like she said, Miss McGee said, it brings more reality into perspective. And that's what I was looking at, all the signs. So I started questioning myself about some things that happened to me as a teenager growing up, now to an adult. So that's what I got out of it.
Thank you so much for sharing. And I do agree with you. It makes you think, and it makes you take, account of things that you've gone through in the past, and you might have had some of those things happen. I know sometimes with myself, you don't want to say, oh, I have depression, but there are been many cases where I have been depressed, and these signs that they were talking about, they are real, and I've had them plenty of times myself, and I'm saying it out loud myself. It's just when you take a self-evaluation, when you really think about it, people that say, oh, I've never had mental health, I'm pretty sure, at some point or another, you felt down or, been anxious for something, either on a large or small scale. Would anyone else like to comment? Okay.
Yeah, and the last
go
thing
ahead.
I'd say is that my reaction to it is that the hardest time I would imagine to deal with, mental health issues is when you're a teenager, because, you've got to deal with your peers, your parents, and yourself, and you don't have the maturity necessarily. Some, teens are very mature, but even so, if you're dealing with mental health issues, it's especially hard during those years.
I definitely agree with you. Nita, I see you had your hand raised.
Yeah, what I was gonna add is that a lot of times people will, at least from my experience, they'll go down and they'll list all these symptoms, and if the symptoms aren't all checked, they will talk themselves out of even seeking help or either looking beyond, that's not me. So even that's what I was meaning, Ashley, by that discussion. If there are different levels, there's like our body tells us almost like, how can I put it? Okay, mental health has been changed to where it's looked at like a medical condition. So just like getting treated for blood pressure, whatever, you get those little warning signs. Those warning signs are kind of that bad mood, that those things like that. But it's that letting it hang around a long time, not addressing it, that kind of picks up things.
I definitely agree. All right, so let's move to our next question. From the video, what did you think about the warning signs?
The ones that have to do with laxatives and uh, weight gain and weight loss. Uh, so I assume that it's not just centered around an eating disorder per se, but it possibly could be a sign of another disorder.
Mhm.
Interesting.
It's very interesting. Um, one of the things that I um, have always talked about is as far as medication wise, medications, you take different ones and it's kind of like a butt shot. And I wish I had a diagram to show you guys, but when you shoot like that, it hits everything around it. And so you kind of can take that with medications. When you're taking different medications for these warning signs or for these different things with mental health, like schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, when you're taking these medications, it might alter something else for it. Like for instance, when you're taking serotonin, it does something with the digestive system and it alters your serotonin level. And that for me, I remember one time I was taking medication for,
Hello?
oh, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, someone had said hello.
I think you're fine.
Okay, I was saying, you would take, I would take different medications for things, and it would treat the symptom, but on the other hand, it would be so many different side effects for it, and that's kind of the downside to medications. And I wish it would just fits the one thing that's going on, but I know for me, you know, when I think about warning signs, it's not just the warning signs when it's actually like before it happens, it's during it as well. When I treat my warning signs, some medications just don't work for me. And some medications, they just change a lot of different things than just the main problem. So I always tell people to, try out different medications with your healthcare provider and make sure that, it's the right fit for you. Did anyone else have anything about warning signs? All right, here's the next question. What would be your response to seeing these signs in a friend or a family member?
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so this is Tamika, and I'm going to answer number 3. I believe that one of my responses would be to just let them know that I do understand, and on some occasions share some of my experiences. But I believe more importantly, just allowing them to express what they're going through, the signs and their feelings and emotions that they're experiencing, and being a listening ear. Sometimes people share things with us that they're not asking for a response. They just want someone to listen to them. So then I would ask them, do they want me to, have input or just be a soundboard for them? I'm finished.
Thank you for your response. I think what you said was key.
There's a comment in the chat from Sharon. I can
Okay.
read it for you. She says, I've been overwhelmed to a point of forgetting important things like leaving my purse, misplacing keys, etc.
Hey, Latasha, could you read that again? You were breaking up on my end.
Sure. I've been overwhelmed to a point of forgetting important things like leaving my purse, misplacing my keys, etc.
Yeah, those are definitely instances where, you know, it's these are signs and you have to be able to point them out. And, you know, with some of these things, it might not be medication that you might need, but just taking time to relax and to ground yourself. We're going to have actually a little exercise that we're going to do later on about grounding yourselves, but you know, just taking that time to relax and to breathe and to get everything stable. I think that it very much so helps. All right, I want to put up question number 4 really quickly. Do you think that helping someone experiencing these signs can help both of you, and how?
This is Tamika. So the answer to number 4 for me is definitely. That is why I'm a part of different therapy groups, because talking to someone that understands and experiences the same things, such as voices and some of the things that we saw in the video, some of the warning signs as well. It just, when someone experiences it firsthand, they seem to can understand better and have, a clear understanding of what you're going through and suggestions on what they did that helps them, live their healthiest lives. I am complete.
I 100% agree with you. I think it does help both the person and you as well. Does anyone else have anything to put in? All right, let's move on to question number 5. How can we make it easier to talk about mental health? There is a stigma around mental health. It's a hush-hush topic. It's something that people are oftentimes afraid to say that they have. So how can we make it easier to talk about mental health?
One suggestion I would have is that share your own personal experience so that people will realize they're not the only one going through it. That's why I'm very open about my own.
I would like to agree with that point that she just mentioned, because it's important that other people know that they're not the only ones that's going through it. So it allows them to be able to communicate more with their feelings and be able to have that open space without judgment.
I definitely agree. When you open up and talk about things, it lets others be able to know that it's okay. Would anyone else like to share?
This is Tamika again. I think that what you guys do as NAMI as a whole, just making sure that people know when these meetings are happening, where they can go for assistance, because the it's just repetitive. It's doing the same thing over and over, because the more often you do it, we are always able to reach somebody who didn't know there was a resource, or they didn't know there was a hotline number. It interests me all the time that people are so prone to look at stars and then it's a big to do. If someone, has a mental health diagnosis, and like the flyer that you guys had, one of the slides there, and there were, famous people, then people want to, hone in to, oh, maybe we should talk about this more. But to answer the question for number 5, it's just making sure that we have as much information as often as you possibly can, so that we are reaching as many people as we possibly can that need the assistance or know someone who does. I'm done.
I definitely agree. We have to be able to tap into those resources that are out there. All right, number 6. What information do you think is important for adults to know about youth who may be experiencing a mental health condition?
I was trying not to say too much, but um, I think one thing that would be important to know is have just a general idea of the typical mental health conditions that occur among youth, what are common, with them, and get familiar with the signs and symptoms.
I definitely agree with you, Latasha. The getting to know these warning signs to be able to, you know, treat the episode before it happens is one of the key things. Get help soon. Would anyone else like to comment?
Hi, it's Krishan. Um, that it's important to me. It's important that it be known that there's a lot of people out here that suffer from mental disorder that don't have anybody, that are alone and whatnot.
I definitely agree with you. And we need to let these people know that you're not alone. You have people all around you that will be willing to help. And NAMI is actually one of those places. We have many different support groups that we often have throughout the state, and a lot of them are virtual. So if they're not particularly close to you, you can always tune in virtually. And I mean, different churches have different organizations, and there's a lot of places to get, you know, knowledge and feedback, and a platform to share your story. So definitely getting familiar with the warning signs, and then getting familiar with the different resources that we have is very, very, very key. All right,
And
I'm gonna move on to, oh, go ahead.
I was going to add to that in addition to people who might be alone, there's some people who aren't alone, but the people they're around may be the problem. Like they may be in an abusive situation, manipulative situation, neglect, things like that, that may exacerbate the problem.
Or they might be afraid to ask for help.
Yes, I was about to say the same thing. Or they might be self-isolating because they're depressed, or, don't feel adequate, or, have their own issues and are afraid to reach out.
I definitely agree. Thank you guys for putting in your input on this. We're going to go to question number 7 now. How can we get more youth involved in talking about mental health? That, this stigma that's around mental health, it hinders a lot of people from talking about it. But how can we get our youth more involved?
So me being transparent about mental health, not hiding anything.
Thank you so much for sharing. I believe that is correct, 100%. Not being able to not talk about it. You have to share your story, because that is one of the key things to start a movement right there, is to be able to share your story, not be afraid. Anyone else?
I agree with that, as well as having opportunities for people to open up about it, like presentations like this. Anyone who wants to have a say it out loud presentation for a youth group or a school, they can, contact Nami Mississippi State Office to have someone give this presentation, so that they become aware of signs and symptoms, and open up the discussion to them. So it's sort of, well, I don't want to say the word desensitized, but make it more comfortable for them to get used to talking about it.
I definitely agree. Things like this, and having a platform or place to share your story is oftentimes what we do need, just to be able to speak about it in a place where we're not getting judged.
Caleb, what about getting some of the youth involved in things like NAMI on campus?
I do agree with that. And the great thing about NAMI is we do partner with a lot of different colleges and community colleges, just to be able to tell these students that, hey, you do have a place to come to talk and to get information so that, to know that you're not alone. Do we have anybody else that wanted to share before we move on? All right, here is a little grounding exercise, and this can be used in any situation. We've discussed heavy topics in this discussion, and here's a great grounding exercise that can be used by anyone, anywhere. So first, we have to acknowledge 5 things that you can see around you. Second is to acknowledge 4 things that you can touch around you. The next thing is to acknowledge 3 things that you can hear around you. And then acknowledge 2 things that you can smell around you. And lastly, acknowledge 1 thing that you can taste around you. This is an awesome grounding exercise that we use all the time. In my profession of starting to counsel different people, we always use this grounding exercise, and it really, really helps get people to just relax and to ground yourself. So now I want to take you to some statistics. Let's see. Suicide is the 3rd leading cause of death for youth and young adults. And less than half of youth and young adults with mental health conditions receive treatment. I'm going to open up the chat, and feel free to comment about these statistics. Are they surprising to you, and which one would you say sticks out the most?
They're not surprising to me because when you're young, a lot you're not listened to. You're not taken serious. And today's world has made it to where it's they say it's okay, but they actions speak louder than words.
I do agree. I mean, in the time that we're living right now with COVID and everything is just, it's made it hard for people to get help. And it's also created a lot of depression and anxiety. And I mean, these were statistics that were taken a year ago. I would just be surprised that at the numbers for 20, or these are statistics for 2020. I would be surprised to see the numbers for 2021. I mean, I'm just assuming that they would be even higher. And it's really, really sad. But, when we open up, like, I think we're trying to drive this point home. When you open up and when you say it out loud, maybe you can inspire someone else to share their story and to seek help and to be the help that someone else might need. One thing that we like to talk about in NAMI is there is hope and there is help. Does someone want to say something?
Yes. And I was going to add, as far as the second statistic, there are a lot of reasons I could think of for that. That is the reason why that so few youth receive treatment. Number one, a lot of times they don't know how to receive treatment. They're highly dependent on their elders, parents, teachers, guardians, whoever it is, to lead the charge on that. They might not be in a situation where they can just seek it out themselves. It's up to the adult to do it, and not all adults are prepared, even this day and time, to even acknowledge that there's a problem. They'll blame it on something else. They'll just say, oh, she just got an attitude today, or something like that. They're
just being a boy.
Yeah, or whatever it is, or girls are emotional, just whatever, you could just kind of throw at it where they don't really want to look at the problem. They kind of, some excuse it away, and then sometimes even the adults might not know what to do. They might see it, but they don't know where to go either, which is why it's so important to continue to educate the public on what their options are. And social media can be a challenge too, because you you're dealing with a situation where you put up this persona of how you want people to see you, but inside it's the opposite. And the last thing you want is, if you're in a situation like if you're a kid, kids can be brutal. If they find out something wrong with you, they'll post it all over the place. So those are the kind of things you have to think about too. Are they afraid if somebody finds out, will they be teased about it and called out on it, and then they get made fun of, because cyberbullying is still an issue.
And trust is a big issue with the your support system, your doctors and whatnot, because it's hard, when as humans, I try not to put people on pedestals, but when people hold a certain title, you hold them to that standard, and when you can't trust them or you lose that trust, it's hard because the world wants to tell you that there's nothing wrong with you. Just get over it. You can be strong.
I agree with everything you guys have said. And the world that we live in right now, they always want to push it aside, and they want to say, oh, it's not okay to talk about it, or it's a hush hush topic. And it's just time to break the mold. It really is, because I myself in my personal life have had many, many, many people just go through things and they say, oh, it's fine, or oh, I'm good. And I guess, because it is one of those topics, you just don't egg on the conversation. But since I've started working for NAMI and I've gotten training myself, I will go that additional step and say, what's bothering you? Like, why? You ask those questions, and it allows them to be able to open up and feel free to talk about it. And you break that barrier of the stigma of them talking about mental illness.
I think the lie that's told the most around the world is when someone says, "I'm fine."
I agree, Latasha. I do agree with that. Yeah, that's the one response that okay, I might need to dive in a little deeper to add some more questions to see what's really going on. I thank you guys for all of your responses to these statistics. So now we're going to talk about how to lead your own group discussion. Number one in this, or the step one, is to prepare for the discussion. You need to have a conversation with the organizations or about the next steps for individuals who seek help or support. You need to review your resources available in your specific area. And that can be as easy as typing in mental health and put, where you're living at. Next, you need to set a discussion agenda and keep it under an hour. And the next is to have a list of celebrities living with mental illness, just so that it can provide some a backbone for what you're talking about. It's a little bit more easy to relate when you know that someone like a celebrity is suffering with a mental illness. All right. Step two is to facilitate a group discussion. And it's important to have some ground rules, and everyone gets a chance to talk. Only one person speaks at a time, so that you're fair to everyone, and let them know that this is a safe place to talk, to share information. And you have to also know that when people are talking about suicide and self-harm, you have to let them know that it is something that should not be kept secret, And it's something that you might want to talk to them, after the presentation, just to, get some further information about it, and then lead them to some type of higher level of care. Step 3 is visuals. Just like in this presentation, we had the NAMI video that was presented, and like you guys said, it just let you all see how it was real people talking, real stories, and real struggles. It's important when you're using visuals to make sure it has good information, like the one in like our video that we showed. It showed the 10 common warning signs of mental illness and how it looks to people. And we also saw, like I said, the personal experiences of people living with mental health conditions. So what can you do to help? And these are some warning signs. These are key and the most common warning signs that we all need to be looking for to be able to ask that question and get that person talking a little bit more about whatever they have going on. So the first is sensing things that are not real, suspicious of others, believing external forces are controlling your thoughts, feelings, or behaviors, thinking you have superpowers, strong and or inappropriate emotions or no emotions at all, spending much more time alone, significant and sudden decline in self-care, and difficulty expressing yourself, thinking clearly, or concentrating. So if yourself or anyone and you've seen these warning signs, it might be a time to have a conversation. So if you or anyone that you know have some of these situations happen, have that conversation to check in. And if you think that they might need a higher level of care, these are some of the different types of medical mental health professionals. So that we have psychiatrists, which they usually have PhDs, and they talk about concerns with human behaviors, and they treat emotions and social abnormalities. So these are behavioral problems, learning difficulties, depression, and anxiety. Psychiatrists, they are medical doctors, and they are in the clinical realm. They deal with severe depression, bipolar disorder, and schizophrenia, things like that, a little bit higher level mental health conditions. Oftentimes, this next person, a counselor, they're going to offer guidance to individuals, couples, families, and groups who are dealing with issues that affect their mental health and well-being. Usually your counselors are going to be in like a wellness center or schools, hospitals, substance abuse centers, and private practice places. Social workers, they research, refer, and advocate for clients' well-being and respond to crisis situations. And you will see these people in mental health clinics, schools, hospitals, settlement houses, and private practice as well. And lastly, a peer support specialist. These are informal counselors, someone with lived experience that supports these struggles with mental health, psychological trauma, and things like substance use disorder. So it's important to know what type of professional to go to, and there's a hierarchy, and that's very, very key to be able to get the right level of care. So take it to the next level, raise awareness. We have to have a conversation with friends and family about mental health. We have to let them know that it's okay to talk about. We have to let others know that making fun of mental health is not okay. We have to start different clubs and different advocacy programs to let people be aware of the battle of mental health. And we have to start, it might be a good idea to, to start social media campaigns using hashtag say it out loud. I know we live in a technological world right now, so posting things related to mental health is a way to raise awareness as well. Another way you can raise awareness in your schools or where in jobs and wherever is to hang posters and other positive mental health signs. Use Post-its and small pick-me-ups and anything that you can use just to be able to have a visual. That's very key. And lastly, work with your NAMI affiliate to bring NAMI to your school or community. All you have to do is, at the end of this presentation, I'm gonna have a slide that shows people that you can get in contact with and emails. So I believe it's the next one. You can always look at namimississippi.org and you can find information about Say It Out Louds and Open Up Mississippi's. There's a lot of other information on NAMI Mississippi's website as well, as far as people to get in contact with. One of the people you can get in contact with is Sataniel Wembley. She is our executive director of NAMI Mississippi, and there's her email address. We also have Vanessa Chatelain. She is our NAMI program coordinator. We don't have her information, but it is on namimississippi.org. And you can also contact me, Caleb McCullum, and there's my email address as well. Another thing, like I said in the beginning of this presentation, make use of the NAMI text line and always keep the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline in your back pocket if you need it. This is an easy way to get help when you need it, for yourself, for your friends, your family, and any other loved ones that you might have. And I just want to thank everyone so very much for being a part of this presentation. You are not alone. Now more than ever, we need to find ways to stay connected with our community. No one should feel alone or without information, support, and help they need. So thank you so much, everyone, for participating. Do we have any questions?
I just want to mention that Vanessa's email address, I put it in the chat, but I'll say it for the recording. It's Vanessa, VANESSA at namims.org.
Thank you so much, Caleb. That was an excellent presentation, and I really thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you all so much for being here. I really enjoyed having the opportunity to have this platform to share different resources and different ways to know warning signs and things of that nature. So it really helped me as well, because when you talk about these things and when you recap over and over again with these presentations, it helps me be able to remember, hey, this might be a warning sign I need to look for and things like that. So thank you guys for being a part of this presentation. I really enjoyed taking this time out to talk to you guys.
Right, and thank you for everybody who attended tonight and asked such great questions and had such wonderful answers for the questions. And I'm basically going to ask Latasha if she has anything to add, and then we'll wind it up.
Okay. Oh, Krishan, I see you raised your hand. Did you want to say something before?
Is there gonna be a recording of the meeting? Because I kind of missed like the first 30-40 minutes where like when y'all were talking about the warning signs and everything, and I wanted to.
Okay. I'm recording it now, so I will share this later.
Thank you.
Sure. And I just want to thank you so much, Caleb, for taking the time out to be with us tonight with this wonderful, very informative presentation. As you can see, this particular presentation can be used not just for us adults, but for youth as well. So As I mentioned before, if you have a youth group or a school or someone like that who think, would benefit from a presentation like this, be sure to reach out to the state office and contact them to get that arranged. And the easiest way to do that is to send an email to education@namims.org. That's education@namims.org. I'm going to stop the recording now, and then we're going to have a few announcements.